Hey folks, welcome back. Well, this is going to be part 4. We are installing the, let's see, I have to find Old Air Products. I think that's their part number or whatever. Aftermarket air conditioning system. First video is out that we showed how to remove the all the original HVAC boxes and whatnot. Then we installed the new box, which goes underneath the dash right here. So check out those videos. Today, or in this video, I guess, we are installing the wiring harness because we're kind of just following along with the instructions here, and it says control and wire and harness installation. So that's what we got here. They've done pretty good as far as marking stuff. Like this will go to the heater valve, which is going to be this, which shuts off your heater flow to the heater core to make the system work better, and then you've got your defrost and dash plug. There's another actuator that looks just like this on the side of the box that'll plug into. So basically, you got the controller right here, and so you've got a plug like this right here that'll plug onto the switch. It looks like this plug right here is going to go right here. We've got these two plugs here. They got it marked green and red, where they've got this marked here. This one should be green, and it is. These little wires right here look like for bulbs, the LED. So these are going to have to get mounted to power and ground. Power lit up every time you turn the headlights on, to backlighting for that. Obviously there's a relay part of it right here. We've got some inline fuses. All this stuff is real close to the control, so that's basically where all this is going to go, and which isn't a bad idea. So basically all that stuff's going to kind of go, in this area somewhat. Maybe even the relay could screw onto something like this, or somewhere else. Not really sure yet, but it's nice because all that stuff's going to be tucked up in here and out of the way. And then to remove this dash, we did that in an earlier video, but there's two screws underneath here, one here and one here, and then there's 4 across along here, and that removes this dash pad. So easy access to get into, if you have to troubleshoot the system at a later date and everything, which is always something anytime you're doing a type of a installation like this is it's made to fit in a certain way, but the parts that like the wiring harness pretty much can do whatever you're planning on doing or something like that. Make it to where it's serviceable, in case you have to work on it and stuff like that. So okay, I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mount the controller in place. All right, so it goes in through the back, and it's going to use, I'm probably not going to be able to, it's going to kind of go in there something like that, but you see it's made to fit in there and look like it was originally in there. But I'm going to use the same screws that we used. There were 3 of them. One's going to go right over here where my finger's at, and then the other 2 are going to go for those holes there, and you can see where it mounts up right there, just like that. So do that. All right, so far we've got the controller mounted in here, and I started just putting the wiring harness in here. So we got this right here, because this is going to, you know, I'm gonna have it go across the dash and drop down, because the fuse panel is over there, because we've got both of these lines here are ignition 12 volt. That's what they say if the camera were to focus. There we are, 12 volt ignition, so key on. I did elect to put the seemed like it worked pretty good there. So we've got everything plugged in where it's supposed to go on the back of the controller, as far as like that, where the switch, the two colored deals down here, this other one, whatever it does. And so, and this should have enough clearance to put the dash pad is not going to hit it or nothing like that. You know, we got plenty of room there. There was a wire, you know, that was in part of this that just needed to be grounded, so I grounded it with that screw that we mounted that just to, which this is metal. Goes up to the front frame. That should work. We've got this wire right here, which comes out here, and that's going to plug into that one right there. And that one we decided we'd ground right there. So hopefully that'll work. If not, I could actually run a wire from right off of this stud right here and ground it onto this part right here. Would be one way to do it. There's probably hundreds of ways to do it. Now these two right here, I got, these were both the same, so when I unplugged it, I just wrote on a marker, you know, on that one right there, so I got them plugged into the same spot. They were already plugged in. They're the two wires that go down. They're just extensions. They're just extensions, and they go, and one's going to plug into the defroster and dash actuator here, and the other one gets plugged into the heater valve, which I'm not sure if that's going to go in here, I think maybe, or I'm thinking it's going to go in here. It can go anywhere really, as long as the wire will reach. We got a lot of wire. Or if it's going to go in this area right here. I don't exactly like that short, I don't know, but well, we'll talk about that in a second. Here's those other two wires, like I told you, that I had unplugged. You know, I just wrote on it with a Sharpie there, just so I, you know, but they go to right here, you know, defroster, dash, and then your heater valve. Probably don't matter, because they're both the exact same, and they got the exact same color wires in the position. They probably really don't matter which way they go to, but I just wanted to keep the labels the same. Anyways, this thing, you know, you can also, you know, run those wires, and you can put it out here, which might be a decent location for it, because your heater hoses here, you know, they're not going to be long enough. Like these are actually even a little bit shorter than they were before. They went right here, remember? So they can come in here, and they can go along in here on top of this fender basically, or up tucked in here. It's however we're going to do it. Well, we're going to go through that, you know, the hole you can see the light through right now. And so they're going to run there. That valve can go here, which means we'd have to get us another hole to run the wires through to get out to the actuator, or we put that valve, you know, inside there somewhere in line, which then we don't have to run. I don't know, but anyways, these are the other deals we talked about before. So like this is going to go on the outside of there, you know, underneath this fender. This is going to go inside there, like this. This used to be the recirculation door was there, but anyways, your two AC lines will run through here, and your two heater lines will run through, and I don't think it really matters which one you do which, but you know, you got AC lines here that are going to mount on there. So anyways, well, another reason to go through the instructions ahead of time, you know, because here we're talking about that piece there. This is, you know, you could remove the fender to probably get better access into here, which is looks like that's how this picture was taken, because you can see it, because the fender will go over the top and come down. You know, and here's inside. This is where that's all gonna go, and somehow or another, I didn't know in the earlier videos what this was for, but we'll talk about that later. That is something, you know, finally figured it out. You know, they give pretty good instructions on, you know, how to, in pictures and all that kind of stuff, as far as how, you know, we did talk about a little bit about trimming the top of this kick panel piece off there in the earlier video. But like I said, you know, they pretty much tell you exactly where everything goes. Heater valve installation, I mean, I kind of read through this a little bit, but here's your schematic for how this works. And so if you're holding this thing exactly like this, you know, they've got this arrow right here coming in here. So basically your upper heater hose, and we'll do all this later on, but I'm kind of just looking at it now because it's kind of part of the wiring, because you want to kind of, you know, foreshadow enough to know, like, okay, where's this going to go? Looks like if we're putting this out here, but they talk about, you know, position the valve in a location away from the exhaust manifold. So they're having us put it outside. I guess it can go inside too, if you know, you're already going to have heater lines going inside, so it's not like you're going to avoid that, but it is less potential parts for a leak if you just have these two connections, or with hose clamps right here for your heater hoses coming in there, rather than, you know, two of them here plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 places. So there's a, you know, there is that potential for leaks in the near future. But I mean, really, that's, you know, we'll talk about this thing later on, but just thought I'd cover that just because I had kind of mentioned it already. So we'll stay back here and everything as far as that goes, on to what this video is about. Alright, so right now, as I said, I have these wires, you know, these orange wires with their fuses and stuff like that, ran across here and down, and then I got one of them right now just landed on a place where, you know, there's a few places you can put spade terminals, which is what they have on here. Right now it's just in a position to where it's ignition on. There's a couple of these, like for your radio and the heater and all that kind of stuff, to where you've got obviously you've got power when you got your ignition on, but when you go to crank, the momentary crank part, that loses power. And that's really what you want to find for something like this, and your radio and all that kind of stuff. Just gives you a little more power for cranking. That way, if, you know, if the fan's on and all that stuff, that when you go to the crank position, it turns this whole system off. If you look at that wiring schematic right now, we just have one of these hooked up because this whole circuit right here is all for the compressor, which works off the, you know, this relay right here is for the compressor and everything. So right now, when we turn the key on right here, we should be, we've got fan blowing out of here, and it's all, this is not even the highest. So we've got the fan blowing, which actually blows a pretty good amount of air. Now we switch over here. We're gonna switch this over here to defrost, and you'll watch the flap come in. Now it's coming out right here, which in turn is going to go through a hose and go right up here, which will come out your defrost ducts. So anyways, better shot of that. So now what we'll do is start moving this back over to dash, and you can see the deal opens up. Now, the other thing we can also test is I did it, just go ahead and plug in this heater valve. So right now with it the way it is on cold, it is coming into this port and coming out right here. So it's just looping through right there. And so now I'm going to switch this over, and this should change in here. Which it does. So now I blew through there. So now it closes the valve and it goes through here, and then it's going to loop through the heater core and then back out to here. And we'll talk about, you know, how to install this more later on, but it's definitely working now. Yep, so now it's completely blocked off. So that's a good way to test all of that particular part of the function to make sure everything works. And you know, like I said, that's pretty much how the wiring harness, I mean, that's really simple to do. The only other additional thing is, like I said, we're gonna have to find a couple spots on here, and I may even add another relay or something like that. I don't know for sure yet, because the one I got it in right now is the one we're using for this wire right here, which is the ignition. So this one is powered up all the time, whether it's on or in the momentary crank position, because you would want that for starting wise. But it's kind of better, you know, and it's not the end of the world if you don't, but if you know, you could just put it right where it is and just double these up. But you are running off of, you know, that fuse. Not exactly sure which fuse it is, but, or you may not be, I don't know. But anyways, we're gonna just find a couple of these on here that are, and I don't know exactly what's going to end up happening. Probably going to end up running another relay to run both of these off of that same output there. I don't know, but we'll do that at another time. Okay, so this is what I got for right now. You can see where it says up there, where it says heater. That's the fuse that we're, you know, or circuit we're drawing off of right now. And you can see I just got it with a double. There's deals you can get at parts store that, you know, you can put 2 spade terminals into one. It should be fine for right now. I mean, there's nothing going to be running off that heater AC circuit or that fuse anyways. So we're all going to be, you know, that's a 25 amp fuse. I confirmed that that's what it is. And so, yeah, everything, and so that particular circuit right there, when you turn your key on, you've got, you know, power for, I don't have the battery hooked up. Anyways, you got power to turn this on, but when you go to crank, just like your radio, this will not be sending any power. So in case you had your, you know, your fan on like this, yeah, it's going to come on for a second when you turn the key on, but when you go to crank, it's going to momentarily shut it off until you let off let off the key after the engine starts, obviously. You know, it's a good way to have it. Just, I mean, you know, your best case deal is what I mean, I do in anything I drive. Before I shut the car off, I shut, you know, the fan off, shut the AC, and then shut the fan off. And actually, I usually turn the AC off, let the fan run for a little while. even as I'm driving up to where I'm gonna go, and then, you know, shut the fan off and then shut the car off. Mostly just because I don't get that, you have an AC system gets that kind of a smell sometimes. You turn on there, well, what's happening is your evaporators, it's cold and it's moist and all that kind of stuff, and then you just shut it off, and then all that stuff just sits in there, and you get some mold and things like that if you don't drive it right away. So blowing the air past it kind of lets all that kind of dry and evaporate out of there for a period of time. But just a little bit of information some people might consider useless, but others might consider, I don't ever get the moldy smell in any of the vehicles I have with air conditioning, because I turn I do just what I just talked about. So now, as I was saying before, it's been a couple of days since I did the last filming and everything like that. So and I've learned a couple of other things. So basically now we've got this that we've got to install, but we're going to do it, a little bit later time with with the lines and everything like that, because I'm going to put this outside the car. I think, pretty sure I'm gonna do that right in this area right here. Obviously, we should have plenty of this, and I think what I might do is we've got the two plastic brackets, one that goes here that we pointed out to, and then the other one that goes up in there where the old blower motor used to go. I might just drill its own hole to get this through, but it's an awful big, well, no, never mind. You can get it a hole about this size right here, because that, like I said, unplugs off of there. So that's kind of nice. But we should have plenty of wire to run this. You can see I've got the other one all tied up in here. It's a box. It looks just like this. I really don't know what it does or what it's for, something. But that one runs the actuator that does your defrost and vent. So the only other thing in here that needs to be done is you've got two sets of these wires right here, and it doesn't matter which, but one side needs to go to a ground and the other side needs to go to your headlights, or your park lights, whatever you want, your dash lights. So this car has also had this added on to, and these light up every time you do the turn the headlights on, or just the park lights. And so I'm just going to tap off of that power, which is one of these wire. Obviously we'll clean all this stuff up later on. Not a huge fan of these tap things like this, but yeah, they're okay on something like this inside, but anyways, we're gonna tap off that power to run those. That way this lights up when you turn the headlights on, and that's pretty much and that's where you're just gonna have to figure out is where you're need. But there's two sets of these orange wires. Find out one here and one there. So one of each like this needs to go positive when the lights are on, and the other just needs to go to ground somewhere. Fairly simple with that. And what I'm assuming is there's just two different lights in here, maybe for over here, or so however they do it. That's just the way they got it designed. And then when we come out over here, so this is also coming from the you can see that this green wire right here is actually this green wire coming off of this relay, because this relay is what, when you turn the AC on, whichever way is on, it's kind of a, the switch popped out or popped in. I don't know which is which. I would assume this is on and that's off, but we'll find that out. Actually, we could just one thing we could do is we could hook the battery up and see if this carries a circuit with the switch on. That's another switch test we can do. But what we got here is, earlier in the video I said that I didn't know well, let me so this is for your compressor, your clutch. So the power, what it's going to is it's going to go through a let's find it. This guy right here. So you can see we've got 2 spade terminals right there, because you're coming out, like I said, here's the relay, green wire coming out, going to this thermostat right here. And then it goes through your safety switch, which we got right here, which is going to go out, you know, on the system. It's actually going to get mounted right on the accumulator or receiver dryer, whatever you want to call it. And then out to your compressor clutch. That's what it does. So basically, this thermostat, I would assume, like, you know, it's so this doesn't ice up or, you know, get too cold or something like that. It's adjustable. You can see it's got a knob on it. You know, starting out, we'll probably just have this thing, you know, I'll put a meter on there, and you know, we'll put this on in this video. It's part of the electrical stuff. So you know, and then here's what they call a capillary tube, which is similar to the capillary tube. You know, that's what they call it on like the expansion valve, which we already did when we installed the expansion valve on the box. And I'll show you where this goes, and install that. And then, like I said, we'll probably just have this thing, you know, turned in such a way where it's just, you know, like full on or whatever, like that, like it's not even in the system, however, you know. And then apparently you would turn the deal like this, and eventually this would open just like that and not allow your compressor clutch to kick on until your temperatures through the tube reach where, you know, you would want it to be. I could imagine if you lived somewhere that didn't get quite as hot, some of the places, you could have it to where your compressor cycles on and off prior to, you know, or at a colder temperature, you know, because I mean, if you if I had a thermostat like that, say on my '79 Lincoln, it would actually be kind of nice this time of year when it doesn't get quite as hot, because, you know, I'm running around with my AC on, not on full blast, and the air basically it gets down to like literally under 30 degrees. So it's like 28, 27 if it's like 80 to 85 outside. You know, gets to 32 to 35 at about anywhere from 95 to 100 outside. It's a cold AC system. I got videos on my channel about how I did that off of 134A. But anyway, so that's where this is going to go. And so I guess we might as well just get that installed in there. Okay, so we got an ohm meter right on this deal. We've got this knob fully counterclockwise, which this particular meter, it's like holding the 2 leads up in the air. OL is what, you know, infinity resistance. I mean, it doesn't know what to measure because there's nothing there. But you start turning it, now we're closed to where we'd allow power through there, and it's all the same through here. Now what's going to change that is the temperature that this thing's measuring. So starting out, we're probably just going to have this thing all the way, turning it, if you're looking down at it, turning it clockwise, and go from there. If we think we need to adjust it for something else, if it's getting too cold or something like that, we will. You know, we turn this back counterclockwise, and it kind of, you can feel it kind of click. Might even hear it, I don't know. Okay, but that's open. So right now, if you have this thing completely off, your AC system's not going to come on, no matter what you do. Push the button, not going to come on, because it is an open circuit in here. It's not going to let your power go out to the compressor. So you got it in this position. So we're just going to leave it, turn it all the way there. We're just going to leave it like that, see how it goes. Get this thing installed. Looks like it's got these little clips. I assume, I would have thought it would go like this, but with this thing mounted where it is and where they want the capillary tube to go, I think I'm just going to put it on like this and have this thing facing, I don't know, maybe we could put it up like this, I don't know. It doesn't say, I haven't found it in the instructions anywhere. So basically, I don't know, according to this picture, you can see it up inside of there. So they are having it on like this. And so then we'll just run this capillary tube, you know, down. Well, I'm not even able to, I'm trying to point. We're just going to run that capillary tube straight down here, right in about one of these fins, because I'll show you where they want you to put that. It's going to go right in this fin right here. Now what there used to be in here was like a little golf tee looking thing, and it was stuck in there, and there was a label on here and it said insert capillary tube here. Now I had removed it already because I wasn't sure about this, and I didn't know what it was for, because it really doesn't talk about it in the directions that much. I just looked at that schematic and saw it, and that's how I kind of figured that's what it does to work. But what I thought was here was like, well, maybe they want you to put the capillary tube for the expansion valve through there. But I'm like, no, that's not what you want. You want that to go right there where it is. So anyways, what you're gonna do is just this will straighten out, and it's just gonna go in there, and it's gonna go right in that fin, and it's gonna go, and it said insert capillary tube in about 2 inches. So you know, you measure on here, you know, measure 2 inches, make you a little mark or something like that, and then just stick that thing through there. And I think I'm gonna try to run it behind this deal. I don't know, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't specify, and I'd rather it look a little cleaner if we went through like one of these upper louvers, and then we ran it right along like this until we go into that hole right there. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. Pretty much going to do it just like that. And then, you know, I didn't want to cut this tube, so I pretty much got close to, that's almost 3 inches, so I have to shorten it up a little bit. But that's gonna get us close. And then we'll just snap that in place there. And then we'll run our 2 wires up there first, and then snap this in place, and we should be good to go there. And then, like I said, this wire will run out, and we'll run it together with this wire. Probably even try to insert it in this loom with it, you know, and run these together, because this is going to go out, and then it's going to get over to your what they call the binary, or your cycling pressure switch out on the receiver dryer, and then eventually onto your compressor. So and we'll get to that, you know, later on. I know this is mostly all electrical wiring and all that kind of stuff, but there's going to be a few more electrical wiring type stuff that we're going to have to do in a later video when we run the hoses and install the condenser and the accumulator, and you know, all the hoses that come in here and everything like that. So yep, we'll just keep on going. All right, there it is, snapped in place. Kind of doesn't really want to stay that well, so maybe little tiny screws, or 2 of them or something like here I might do, or something like that, just to screw into the side, something really just light, you know, but it might stay. But anyways, we got our wiring hooked up there, so this, like I said, is going to run out with everything here. Like I said, it's going to run with the wiring for this, and so that's gonna do that. Before, what I was talking about were these. I think I'm just gonna drill my own hole, you know, probably about a 1/2 inch drill size or something like that, get a rubber grommet, you know, from the part store that'll fit it, and I'll probably do this, you know, same thing here, and run both those wires out, you know, along with the hoses that run through here, you know, and then you can kind of attach the loom to the hoses and whatnot, and for, you know, a fairly clean look. And all right, so I thought I'd go ahead and do, and I'll probably show you, you know, when I get this wired up here, you know, what's going on there. But what I got right now is at the end of this green wire that's coming from our little thermostat switch thingy, I've got this headlight bulb just alligator clipped into it. The other side to ground. So now when we turn our key on and then we turn our fan on, we've got it on cold here to the dash. So now that's blowing. We don't have our ducts in obviously, but then when you hit the button, oh, there we go. Trying to get the shot in here. Our AC light switches up. That's off. And that's on. So obviously if it'll run that headlight bulb, it's going to run the compressor clutch, you know, really good. So I have it set on the wrong terminal. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. That terminal is still hot. I didn't realize. I'd have to move that spade terminal like one down or something like that. Okay. Anyways, yeah, so that's all gonna, you know, obviously this is gonna run through your pressure switch, but as long as you've got Freon pressure in there, that's really what, you know, if I were to assume like this is gonna be, you know, set pretty much like for your how cold you want it to be, the switch outside by the accumulator, that's, you know, it's obviously going to be a safety thing like that. It's not going to let the compressor kick on, let's say if you had a leak and all your Freon leaked out. That's what you don't want. So anyways, that was a good test to test the button on here. You know, kind of nice to be able to test things as you go, because then, you know, if it's not working correctly, you know, stop right here and figure it out before you go on and get everything all tied up and all that stuff. I just like to test things pretty much as I go, everything that I can. So. Okay, so actually, this terminal right here, I guess this one and this one that you could put spade terminals on here, just like this one is for the radio. These are hot all the time. So anyways, this one right here is hot when you got your ignition on, goes dead when you crank. So does this fuse right here. This one right here, we actually have our ignition wire plumbed off of there. There's another relay on the firewall that runs that. So this one, we don't want to double it off of that. So yeah, we don't want to run off of that. And then I also just don't want to double it off the radio. So what I did was I removed this fuse panel. It doesn't really want to come off, but and you can see inside there the wire that would go to, was without the fuse in it. This gets hot when you turn the key on. And so all I did was it just went up there, and then I just clipped the wire, and then I'm just going to join all three of those together, because there's nothing running off of this circuit for this fuse anyways. And what we could have also found is probably one of the wires in there, but I didn't want to use any of that stuff. I wanted all that stuff to go away. And so now we're just going to put these two, I'll clip these spade terminals off and stick them in a deal kind of like this. These hold really good, just a little three-way deal like that. And then we'll run that off of there, because these two have their own fuses in there, so we're fine with that. So I got it up there just like that, and you know, we got to tie up the rest of these wires and all that kind of good stuff. But we've also got our wires hooked up with these deals here for our lights, so that now when we pull the headlights on, this deal lights up. So, and then obviously just like that. Show that again. So anyways, now we pretty much know that our system is working, you know, because if we get this powered up with the compressor, so all we got to do now is I'm not sure exactly which way I'm going to go for sure. If I'm probably going to go ahead and mount the compressor and the condenser, do that kind of stuff next, because then we'll know where the hoses and all that stuff need to go. AC hoses, that is. We know where the heater ones need, but you know, as far as running them through those plastic covers and all that, you pretty much got to do all that at the same time, because you don't want to be you know, you get two hoses through there and you mount it up like this. How are you going to get the other two through there? So anyways, that's what we're going to have to do there. So this is pretty much everything with the electrical side, other than we do have a little bit more with the switch and everything out there, but we'll do that probably when we do the rest of this. And you know, there's just going to be a few more videos. I really don't know, I'm not a YouTube professional, so I'm just trying to, you know, do this best I can and just get stuff done with all these videos and everything like that. So and just let you know my experiences on everything. So hopefully this is all helping you out if you decide you want to put something like this in your car. But thanks for watching.